Rahul's Adani attack. Amit Shah dares the Congress.
कोर्ट में जाए ना, कोर्ट में नहीं जाते हैं। मैंने तो पेगासिस में भी कहा था आपके पास प्रूफ है तो आप कोर्ट में चले जाइए, ना गए वो।
Political storm over Adani. The big focus on Newstrack. A typically combative Amit Shah, the Union Home Minister, led the charge of the counter-offensive of the Modi government on the big festering Adani issue. It's been nearly a month since that story broke, and now it has become one of the biggest headlines. It washed away Parliament, and now Amit Shah led the charge in backhanding on this issue. We're going to debate that here on Newstrack. I'm Shiv Aroor. Thanks for tuning in. The headlines first. Income Tax Department searches continue at BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. Charges of tax evasion and irregularities under investigation. Politics escalates over the tax survey of BBC offices. Opposition alleges free speech being muzzled as a result of vendetta over the BBC documentary. Centre declares no one is above the law. Air India, Airbus signed historic aviation deal. Air India to buy 250 airliners from Airbus as part of its expansion plans. Boeing deal to be announced very shortly. It's the biggest in history. We've got a special broadcast coming up at 8:30. Tipu Sultan's family threatens to sue political parties, says the ruler's name is being used for appeasement and dividing society. BJP denies the charge. Congress renews vote bank attack. Death toll from Turkey, Syria quakes, goes past 37,000. More people found alive as rescue efforts continue for over 200 hours. The Adani political fight is no longer one way. In an explosive interview, Prime Minister Modi's closest confidant and this government's number 2 man, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, launched a fierce, scathing counter-offensive by way of an interview. Amit Shah dared the Congress to produce proof of the allegations that they've made via Rahul Gandhi, especially in Parliament, declaring that the BJP and the government had nothing to hide or fear. They've also gone ahead and challenged the Congress party to take this issue to court.
Honorable members in Parliament, on the streets, it's been the number 1 rallying point for the opposition across the country. And now Home Minister Amit Shah has decided to silence all Modi critics on the Adani controversy.
कोर्ट में जाए ना, कोर्ट में नहीं जाते हैं। मैंने तो पेगासिस में भी कहा था आपके पास प्रूफ है तो आप कोर्ट में चले जाइए, ना गए वो। जो लोग गए पेगासिस का संज्ञान भी लिया था, कोर्ट ने जजमेंट भी दे दिया। इसका मतलब
Amit Shah, in one of the most explosive interview, addressed all the opposition's attacks one after another on the Adani storm. On the demand for a parliamentary committee probe, Shah hit back with a counter, saying if the Congress has proof of the Modi-Adani nexus, they should then move court.
लिस्ट आती है, एक लिस्ट आती है दुनिया के सबसे अमीर लोगों की। इस पे ये 609 नंबर पे थे 14 में। पता नहीं जादू हुआ, दूसरे नंबर पे पहुंच गए। लोगों ने ये भी पूछा कि राहुल जी, ये जो अदानी जी जो हैं, इनकी सफलता कैसे हुई? और सबसे जरूरी सवाल, इनका हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री के साथ क्या रिश्ता है और कैसा रिश्ता है?
अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने केस का संज्ञान लिया है। देश की कैबिनेट के सदस्य नाते जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने किसी मैटर को सीज किया हो, उस वक्त मेरे लिए बोलना ठीक नहीं होगा, परंतु इसमें बीजेपी के लिए कुछ छुपाने को नहीं है और ना किसी बात से डरने की जरूरत है। कोर्ट में नहीं जाते हैं। मैंने तो पेगासिस में भी कहा था आपके पास प्रूफ है तो आप कोर्ट में चले जाइए, ना गए वो। सिर्फ शोर शराबा करना चाहते हैं।
जो इदारे हैं जो
Shah then reminded the nation of how the Congress had also rained fire on the government on the Pegasus snooping row, only for the courts to dismiss the charges.
कोर्ट में जाए ना, कोर्ट में नहीं जाते हैं। मैंने तो पेगासिस में भी कहा था आपके पास प्रूफ है तो आप कोर्ट में चले जाइए, ना गए वो, सिर्फ शोर शराबा करना चाहते हैं। कोर्ट तो हमारे कब्जे में नहीं है।
He did not stop there. Remember how Prime Minister Modi's address in Rajya Sabha was disrupted repeatedly by the opposition.
देश देख रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है।
यहाँ पर भी
Shah lashed out over the unruly behavior of the opposition and accused them of repeatedly stalling the budget session.
सांसद को तय करती है ना, वो जनता पूरी सुनती है। अब सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म पर चली जाइए और मोदी जी के भाषण के पर कमेंट्स पढ़िए, पूरी जनता सुनती है। अब पॉलिटिकल स्टैंड लेकर कुछ पार्टियां नहीं सुनना चाहती है, वो भी जनता देख रही है।
But what justifies the opposition leaders and particularly parts of Rahul Gandhi's speech being expunged? A day after Rahul's attack at the Modi government over the expungements, hear Amit Shah's response.
पार्लियामेंट के प्रोसीडिंग्स एक्सपंज शब्दों और वाक्यों से भरा पड़ा है। पार्लियामेंट के रूल्स के हिसाब से बहस का स्थान है, और जब रूल्स के हिसाब से बहस करनी है तो पार्लियामेंट्री लैंग्वेज में करनी पड़ती है।
Amit Shah's no-holds-barred interview hasn't impressed the Congress. The party said they will continue their Adani fight.
जरूर ये कहेंगे कि हमारी लड़ाई मित्रवादी पूंजीपति जो है, मित्रवादी पूंजीवाद, उसको लेकर है। जांच तो अडानी की होनी चाहिए, और सरकार और अडानी के बीच में क्या रिश्ता है और क्या लाभ पहुंचाया गया है अडानी को पिछले 10 सालों में, उस पर जांच होनी चाहिए।
If there is nothing to hide, why are they shying away from a JPC? Let them show some courage and have a JPC in place. After all, even in the JPC, BJP would have more numbers. Why are they afraid? Because if there is a JPC, all the documents would be there, have to be tabled, everything will come in public domain. Is that the fear?
Whatever you know, and whatever you can reasonably be expected to know as a government, you must put out. That's all. Now, to say that we know nothing means the government was asleep.
उनकी भाषा में
Has Shah's Adani counter blunted the opposition's attack? The BJP will definitely hope this interview will settle the Adani debate once and for all. Bureau Report, India Today.
So it had all the sound and fury, but did it have the substance? That's one of the things that the Congress will possibly use as a counter-attack. But let's go straight into our big face-off today. Syed Zafarul Islam's national spokesperson of the BJP, Ikram Sandhu, spokesperson of the Congress. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being with me on the Newstrack. Ikram Sandhu, starting with you, you've heard the highlights of what Amit Shah has basically said. He was very combative, which is to be expected from Amit Shah. But he says that the Congress has been full of bluster, low on substance, and basically trying to do what it did in 2019, which is make a series of insinuations in the hope that something sticks in people's minds and that the government gets a little nervous. He has basically challenged the Congress party to take this entire issue to court.
Good evening, Shiv. Good evening, Zafarji, and a very good evening to all your viewers. Now, this is really, bluster is all that we can get from this government. And I'll use a term that our Honorable Home Minister popularized, chronology to samjhiye aap. Now, since 2014, we have been talking that this is a suit boot ki sarkar. And there is a nexus and an evil nexus between corporates and this government led by Mr. Modi. And we were always said that Congress though has taken a swirl towards the left. It is anti-business, and Congress
But
will
Ikram,
never be-
Ikram, answer the question I'm asking you because
Answer
we
the
have
question
limited time. I'm saying
I'm
Amit
answering
Shah
the
is
question.
saying, since you're trying to get into details and make allegations of a detailed financial nature, why don't you take this to court? He's daring you to take to this court. Give me a categorical answer. Will the Congress take this to court or not? And if not, why not?
Shiv, just give me 2 minutes, because it's very important for your viewers to understand it all. Now,
No,
when
but
Congress-
what you're saying right now, Ikram, has already been said by Rahul Gandhi in Parliament. Our
Okay.
viewers have heard it.
Okay, so now the chicken has come home to roost, and the only thing that they're doing is they're deflecting. Now, who will come up with proof? Proofs have come out. Hindenburg has put it on record that there are shell companies that are have invested into Adani Enterprises. There are 6 shell companies which have an address in one building in Abu Dhabi, and money has been routed through Mauritius. Now, will Congress send a delegation to Mauritius and understand whose money it is?
No,
It
so
is
why
the
don't you
government
go to court?
which has to do it.
Why
It
don't
is
you
the
go to court? It's a simple question. It's not a loaded question.
We
Why,
can.
in
But
reality, why don't
Shiv-
you go to court? Let the court
Shiv
order
has-
a court-monitored investigation if there is enough evidence.
Great. So therefore, that is what we want to bring to the attention of the public of India, that this is where this current dispensation has brought the country, that an opposition party has to go to court for a basic thing. So they always talk about Bofors, they talk about 2G. What happened?
Okay.
A JPC was announced there. CBI investigated it. CBI filed a charge sheet. The cases went on that, and the courts exonerated everybody. That is how any civilized democracy works.
The-
Here,
the-
the answer is that
Okay.
you go to court.
Syed
Without
Zafrul
any
Islam,
investigation,
respond.
we will not do any
The Congress
investigation
is saying
after
that Amit Shah's words are all bluster and no substance, and that this is only a diversionary tactic. It is still very much on the table, the allegations that they're making, but they say that they may not go to court just yet. It's a possibility, but may not be just yet. Syed.
See, Shiv, you just see their conduct not in this session, but all the previous sessions. They always have something or the other to disrupt the parliament. Their irresponsible behavior and conduct is now known to people because they just want to disrupt the parliament and be seen on the television channel and the newspaper that they are disrupting the parliament, and they feel that they will get support from the people of India. People of India definitely want parliamentarians to transact business and pass the legislation and bill which is important for the people and for the nation. Unfortunately, the opposition bench have not understood the expectation, what is the expectation of the people and the expectation of deliverables from the parliamentarian.
Okay.
They haven't understood. They feel that the people only want them to disrupt the parliament, and that's what they are doing. But we are a responsible party, responsible government. We want to engage with them for everything in the business advisory committee. They must discuss, find a middle ground for discussion, and if there is a meeting of minds, then and often there is a meeting of minds. Yet when they go back to the floor, they start disrupting the parliament instead of what the agreement was in the BSc committee. All I'm requesting that even if you do not want to engage us, or you do not want to discuss the subject on the floor of the parliament, and if you just want to disrupt the parliament, so better go to the court. That's what the honourable
Ikram, that is
Home
see,
Minister
look,
suggested. Go to the
Ikram,
court.
it is increasingly
Whatever grievances, at least court will listen to
Ikram,
you.
the perception, like very much like during the Rafale campaign in 2019, is that there is a lot of innuendo and no substance. There is no, quote unquote smoking gun or money trail to link any of the allegations that are being wildly thrown about. Yes, there is a Hindenburg report. It is a company that has its own demons in the United States. That's a separate issue. But their action has been taken here. The RBI has taken action. The Security and Exchange Board of India are monitoring things at this point of time. But the Congress appears to be hell-bent on establishing some link between Narendra Modi and Gautam Adani, and you're saying establish a joint parliamentary committee investigation for that. The government is simply saying we can't do that because we deny it completely. Go to a court, and if a court says you have to have this kind of investigation, they'll do it. What's wrong with that?
Shiv, you are such a senior journalist. Tell me once in our history where the court has directed parliament to have a JPC.
Not a JPC. It doesn't need to be a JPC. They can order a court-monitored
you
probe.
said, go to court and they will say that Parliament is a sacrosanct institution, which is an institution in itself, and even Supreme Court cannot dictate terms to it. So it is a completely fallacious argument that you go to the court and the court will direct for a JPC. Now, what is a JPC? A JPC is that parliamentarians who are answerable to the people, they get together and there also BJP will have a majority because they are the majority.
But Ikram, the government is saying there is not enough substance to what you're saying. They're saying this is innuendo. It sounds like political frustration by Rahul Gandhi, like during the Rafale thing, and therefore it is not substantial enough to establish a JPC is what they're saying. They're saying it is born from frustration rather than facts, is what the government says.
Shiv, I'll give you a cricketing analogy and you'll get it. The government is the batsman. It has been hit plumb in front of the wicket, and the government has the power whether it can go for a TV review. And the government says, no, there is nothing. There's no substance in this appeal. Therefore, I am not out.
Okay.
That is how the thing is working out. If you are not plumb in front of the wicket, go for the referee. If everything is right,
Syed,
you will be exonerated.
okay.
We will have a government.
Since a cricketing analogy has been used, Syed, answer that. Because the people, the Congress will continue to ask it in that way, which is that what do you have to hide? Why are you saying no to a JPC is a question that will be repeatedly asked, and now it's being asked after Amit Shah's interview as well. Syed.
See, it's a very weak argument. You have to understand the intent and the motive of the opposition. Opposition doesn't want to discuss anything. This JPC is also something it is only for disrupting the parliament. If a JPC will happen, then they will pick up something else. So their intention is, you have to understand that their intention is not good. Their intention is to only disrupt the parliament, and no business needs to be transacted. That is something which they want to do. They want to paralyze the democratically elected representatives, whatever their responsibility is there to discharge as a parliamentarian. They want to paralyze the entire process.
Okay.
Which is very unfair on the part of
So that means it comes down to a trust deficit then.
Especially Congress Party, because Congress Party is behaving. Secondly, what is more important, they do not trust the government. They do not trust their own people, but they will always trust something which has appeared in Global Times, which has appeared in New York Times, which has appeared in Hindenburg Report. And what nonsense!
Okay.
It is the regulatory authority, regulatory bodies. They are doing their job.
Okay.
They take cognizance of all such things, and they act swiftly without any interference from the government. So you must understand that there are institutions which have been set to, as a regulatory body, to look after and act upon immediately. And even that assurance has come from the finance minister that all the regulators which need to examine this subject are being done by them. So what is the problem with them? They do not want to trust their own government. They do not want to trust the institutions.
The allegation is,
but they want to trust a small.
I think most people who've been watching parliamentary proceedings and this entire face-off can see that this is about a trust deficit. At the end of the day, no matter where this springs from, whether it springs from the right impulses or not, the trust deficit between your party and the ruling party right now is at an all-time low. And therefore, they don't believe that you have any standing to demand a JPC.
Well, they can say that. That is the only thing this government can do. Now, I'll just raise 3 points here. Zafar Bhai has said that a foreign agency, Hindenburg, has raised this issue. Therefore, there's no loci standing for anybody to raise that issue here. I will take Mr. Zafar Iqbal 35 years back.
Islam, yeah.
Who raised the Bofors issue? It was the Swedish radio which for the first time broadcasted it. Did Mr. Rajiv Gandhi or anybody in Congress at that time say that Swedish radio to ji ek bahar ki organization hai, why should any action be taken on that? JPC was set up and the Supreme Court has exonerated everybody in that case. But our Prime Minister still talks about Bofors in the Parliament, when in 2012 the final nail in that lie was stuck when the Supreme Court finally said that no kickbacks was paid and there was no wrongdoings in Bofors.
But
Standard that the Congress has.
But Ikram, with respect, in that case. Ikram, in that case, in the case of Bofors, and you also talked about 2G, we do know where those cases ended up, but they started with something substantial. I am not saying the Hindenburg report is not substantial. It certainly is, which is why the agencies here are taking action. SEBI, RBI, they've been delisted from various indexes, etc. All that is happening. You are asking for a JPC about a personal, beneficial relationship between Narendra Modi and Gautam Adani. That appears to be insubstantial. My question to you, actually, to bring this to a close, actually, Ikram, is... see, the BJP has already had its say through the Home Minister, so I'll end with you, Ikram, which is that if you're up against a wall, as far as the JPC demand is concerned, why don't you go to court? I'm seriously saying, if the court orders some kind of an investigation, wouldn't that be a victory for you? And I'm not saying JPC.
Shiv, thank you. Just give me 1 minute and I'll just clarify all of this. Number one, there is a Niti Aayog note and there is a Ministry of Commerce note that when in 2019, 30 airports were being, privatized, that not more than 2 should be given to a party because it might lead to a monopoly.
Okay.
Those notes, no cognizance was taken of that, and 6 airports were given. Now that Niti Aayog note, that Ministry of Commerce note is on record. When the JPC happens, these questions will be asked. How did this happen?
Why they can be asked even in a court-monitored probe is my question, Ikram.
Look, Shiv, the problem is that if in the end opposition has to do everything, of course, that's the last resort. If if this government is as obdurate as it always is, and it does nothing, then of course we'll go to court.
Okay, we are out of time.
When we call ourselves the mother of democracy and the cradle of democracy, then the least you expect from this government is at least do the basics that a ruling parties should do.
We'll leave it there for the moment. The fallout of the Amit Shah interview will still be felt, I'm sure, for the rest of this week. But we'll end it here and continue to track the story very closely. Syed and Ikram, thank you very much for being with me here on Newstrack. In his interview to a news agency, ANI, the Home Minister also pointed a finger at the BBC documentary on Prime Minister Modi, calling it propaganda. The storm over the film continues to rage on as we speak. Income tax searches are still underway at the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. The British broadcaster is accused of tax evasion and financial irregularities in the country. Take a look at this report by Milan Sharma and our team.
An explosive escalation amid the BBC Modi film row. Tax officials, aided by top financial department officials, swooped down on multiple BBC India offices in Delhi and Mumbai. Searches were carried out at BBC's Connaught Place office in Delhi and offices in Mumbai's BKC and Khar.
IT डिपार्टमेंट से चलो आप लोग फोन रखो इधर आराम से तो बात करूंगी यार फोन गेट खुलवा रहे हैं आप 10 मिनट
India Today accessed images of a tax department official who was confronted by the BBC staff during the IT searches. The lone tax official can be seen accusing the BBC staff of stalling the raids by keeping the gates shut for close to 10 minutes.
IT डिपार्टमेंट से चलो आप लोग फोन रखो इधर आराम से तो बात करूंगी यार फोन गेट खुलवा रहे हैं आप 10 मिनट से गेट कौन खुलवा रहे हो आप लोग ऐसे बिना वारंट के गेट खोलेंगे वारंट आपको पता है वारंट शीट हो चुका है देखा हुआ वारंट तब एंटर किया आप लोग इट्स ओके
Sources say multiple phones and electronic devices of BBC employees, particularly from finance and accounts departments, were seized. Many BBC staff were asked to go home.
There are 2 stories building, though the office is very small, but any transaction on the financial detail that you need to check all the logs, all the paper books that may have kept here, and also the digital books, particularly the login, the data, the CPU that they have stored, including all their expenses, the transaction they have made, the income that they have generated. So everything, if that need to be matched upon and verified upon with the available documents with the income tax department, so that eventually may take a time.
Sources added that allegations of tax evasion international taxation and transfer pricing irregularities by BBC were probed during the marathon survey. Reacting on the searches, the BBC said it is fully cooperating with the tax officials and hopes to resolve the issue soon. While the opposition called the raids undeclared emergency, the BJP justified them as crackdown on anti-India BBC, which it mocked as brushed bakwas corporation.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि।
बीबीसी के अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो यह पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉरपोरेशन हो गई है। और दुख की बात यह है कि बीबीसी का प्रोपेगेंडा और कांग्रेस का एजेंडा एक साथ मेल खाता है।
The raids come close on the heels of BBC facing charges of getting money from Chinese state-controlled Huawei to peddle anti-India propaganda. India had also banned BBC's documentary on Gujarat riots, which allegedly demonized Prime Minister Narendra Modi despite a Supreme Court clean chit. With Divyesh Singh and Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai and Milan Sharma and Ashutosh Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
It's only Tuesday and it's already turned out to be a blockbuster week for Indian aviation. I'm going to tell you all about it on the other side of this very short break. Stay with us.
To regain its
Over 3 decades, Business Today has delivered news, views and analysis like no other, chronicling India Inc.'s journey through time. Now, at 31 years, Business Today presents the future. Mission 2047, Road to India at 100, with Indian industry's biggest stalwarts and an exclusive interview with Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
Made in India, jets and choppers soared across the skyline of Bengaluru at the Aero India 2023.
आज भारत की संभावनाओं का, भारत के सामर्थ्य का प्रमाण हमारी सफलताएं दे रही है। आज आकाश में गर्जना करते तेजस फाइटर प्लेन्स मेक इन इंडिया के सामर्थ्य का प्रमाण है। आज हिंद महासागर में मुस्तैद एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर आईएनएस विक्रांत मेक इन इंडिया के विस्तार का प्रमाण है।
On ground, politics in the pole-bound state of Karnataka also took flight. Asia's largest aero show was inaugurated by the Prime Minister to showcase India's potential to the world. But that didn't stop the Congress from taking political potshots, calling his visit political tourism.
PM is a political tourist. He comes every time when there are elections. When we actually needed the Prime Minister during COVID, when the people were suffering, he was never here. We actually needed Prime Minister during the water sharing disputes. He was not there. Now he is coming because the elections are there. So why should we be scared? People know that this Prime Minister is an election campaigner, not the Prime Minister who delivers for the people.
Modi ಅವರು, Amit Shah ಅವರು, ನಡ್ಡಾ ಅವರು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ. ನಾನು ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಡ್ಡಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಲಹೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು ಬರೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ವರೆಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ಬಿಡಿ ಅಂತ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಲಹೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ.
The BJP was quick to counter the Congress's attack, saying that the party was scared of the Modi factor and that every visit by the Prime Minister to Karnataka will ensure a spike in BJP vote share.
कांग्रेस डर गया है। मोदी जी कब कर्नाटक आता है उसको पता है, उन्हें एक एक विजिट में कम से कम 5% 2% से 5% वोट बढ़ाता है, वो मालूम है, उसके वजह से डर गया है।
ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನವರಿಗೆ ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನದವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರೀತಿ, ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಮೋದಿ ಕೆಟ್ಟರೆ ಭಯ. ಯಾಕೆ ಮೋದಿ ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬಾರ್ದ, ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬಾರ್ದ? ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಹೆದರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓಡೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಭಯ ನಿಮಗಿದೆಯಾ? ಯಾವುದನ್ನ ಟೀಕೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವುದನ್ನ ಟೀಕೆ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು ಅಂತ ಕಲ್ಪನೆನೇ ಅವ್ರಿಗಿಲ್ಲ. ರಾಹುಲ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಮುಂಚೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ಕರೆಸಲ್ಲ? ನಮಗೆ ಬರೋ ಓಟು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೆಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಹುಲ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಪ್ರಿಯಾಂಕಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಯಾರನ್ನೂ ಕರೆಸಂತ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರು.
Mega week for Indian aviation.
One is that Airbus is contributing to the outstanding development of India, and the new 250 aircrafts which will be delivered to Air India will be one more step in this direction.
Air India breaks aviation order records. Two events highlighting a rising India.
मुझे ये जानकर भी खुशी है कि फ्रेंच कंपनी साफरान विमानों के इंजन की सर्विस के लिए भारत में सबसे बड़ी MRO फैसिलिटी स्थापित कर रही है।
Superpower flaunts at India's biggest air show. Big jet order, proof of soaring India. Deal with it. India is flying high. It's turning out to be a very interesting blockbuster week for Indian aviation, both military as well as civil aviation, as the world's #1 fighter aircraft is being used to woo India. Air India, meanwhile, has broken all aviation records by placing the largest ever airliner order in history. The US Air Force's F-35s have made a roaring debut at the Aero India show. They're the most advanced, capable and lethal fighters in the world, and the world's biggest superpower is wooing India with them. On the other hand, Air India has signed one part, or at least two parts, of a historic aviation deal with Airbus and Boeing, and will be buying 470 aircraft from both these companies, breaking the existing world record for the largest number of aircraft ever ordered. Are these signs of a soaring, rising and booming India? Well, take a look at this report where we piece together both these stories, both of them exploding this week alone, to give you a sense of how Indian aviation is booming at this time. Take a look.
A lone F-35 fighter aircraft roaring through the skies over the Yelahanka Air Base in Bengaluru. The star attraction at the Aero India show. The stealth fighter jet performing stunts. The 5th generation fighter jet is the most modern machine. Its stealth, advanced sensors, information fusion and network connectivity, all packaged within in a supersonic, long-range, highly maneuverable fighter, makes it a deadly jet. Adding to the combat capabilities, its ability to analyze and share data makes it a force multiplier. It can carry up to 18,000 pounds of ordnance. Its stealth features allows it to go undetected. Advanced sensor fusion adds to the aircraft's awareness, making it more lethal.
These are the F-35 Lightning II. They're 5th generation fighter aircraft and the latest fighters to be developed by the United States. They're in service with the United States, but you're wondering, what the hell are these two aircraft doing here at Aero India? Let me first tell you that the F-35 is making its debut here in India. These aircraft have never been in Indian airspace, certainly never on Indian soil.
Two aircraft flew to India for the air show. One is on static display and the other was party of an enthralling flying demonstration. The timing of its maiden appearance in India is interesting. Does this mean US wants to pitch the F-35 for the Indian Air Force? India is planning its own fifth generation aircraft, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft or AMCA, but that will take time. F-35's participation has led to murmurs about the possibility of US making a strong pitch to India. This also coincides with Indian Navy finalizing between the French Rafale and the US's FA-18A Super Hornet. With Shiv, Aroor, Akshay Dongre and Manjeet Negi. Bureau Report, India Today.
So it really is incredible that F-35 Lightning II jets are here in India for the first time ever. But let's tell you a little bit more about the F-35, just so all our viewers are on board as we expand on this story and then bring in the experts. Now, the F-35 is an American all-weather stealth multi-role fighter manufactured by the world's largest weapons company, Lockheed Martin. It's the world's most expensive weapons program. It cost about $412 billion approximately. These are aircraft where certain variants of it are capable of vertical takeoff as well as landing on a carrier deck. It's been in service since 2015 with the US Air Force, the US Navy as well as the Marine Corps. It's also combat proven and it can carry a range of weapons, including nuclear weapons, according to some reports. So that's what the F-35-2 is all about. Now, before we even get into why the F-35s are here in India, I want to first put a reality check out because the F-35 is a highly advanced fighter. But here's why I believe the F-35 doesn't fit India's requirement at this time, for a various number of reasons. The key among them are the following. India already has a fifth generation fighter program and many times over the years has actually said it will not look outside for this technology. Now, the reason for that also is reason number two. The US will never share crucial stealth technology with any other country, certainly not with India. Now, the F-35's maker, that's Lockheed Martin, already has an aircraft competing for an Indian Air Force contract. It's called the F-21. It's a modern version, an upgraded version of the F-16. So why would the F-35 also be brought in? The F-35 in India appears to be more of a muscle flex rather than a sales pitch in my view, because also there is another big reason why the F-35 wouldn't fit. India, remember, is operating the S-400 Triumph surface-to-air weapon system, and that has been a hurdle for F-35 sales in the past with countries like Turkey and could be a complete deal breaker in the event that the F-35 is actually on the table for India or if India is actually interested. Nevertheless, you know, all these pieces of information and explanations that I've given you are one thing, but things do change in the world of diplomacy and a security relationship that is intensifying like it is between India and the United States. So forget about what only I think. Let's get what the experts think. Joining me live now, Angad Singh. He's one of India's most sought after and well-known experts on military aviation, military history and aviation history. Also with us is former Vice Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Anil Khosla. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with me here on the show today. Lots of questions, lots of intrigue over the F-35s. Air Marshal Khosla, with your permission, I'll go to Angad first so that we don't lose that line with him. And Angad's also at the Aero India show. Angad, I know it was a very happy moment to see the F-35s landing there at Yelahanka. You know, lots of fun with your camera, etc. But, you know, getting down to the serious stuff, what do you think, Angad? Is this, you know, messaging? Is this muscle flexing? Is there a sales pitch somewhere here? What do you think?
I'll start from the back, Shiv. I don't think there's a sales pitch. you laid out quite succinctly why a sales pitch for F-35 is just not on the cards at the moment. Beyond that, I think it's a way for the US to signal both to New Delhi and other countries that even if weapons sales aren't the cornerstone of a relationship, there is a cooperation and a collaboration at the military level between our two countries, India and the US. And I don't know if you know, but the US also sent a pair of B-1B strategic bombers over Yelahanka today, and they're going to be flying over the air show over the next couple of days as well. So this is more of a signaling exercise from the US to the broader Indo-Pacific.
Yes.
It's a confidence building and a public relations exercise more than anything else. But there's also a subtext where India isn't excited by yesterday's technology. India is excited by the future, right? And we're looking at AMCA, we're looking at LCA Mark II and things like that.
Right.
An F-35 pitch could really upend Indian defense procurement planning. Should it be made? And I think that reality isn't lost on the people that send the F-35 to Yelahanka. But at the same time, you have this, India and the US on the F-35 especially have played this sort of game of don't ask, don't tell. Both sides know it's not on the table. So the Indians won't ask for it to avoid the embarrassment of a rejection, and the Americans won't offer it because they can't. So it's an interesting situation right now, and as you say, I think it's mostly a muscle flex with a hint of here's what you're missing.
Okay, very interesting. So it's more signaling than a sales pitch. Air Marshal Khosla, you've been in the trenches of the Air Force. You've seen procurement, you've seen planning, and like Angad rightly said, there's a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing as far as the F-35 is concerned. As far as Indian procurement is concerned, you've usually seen US officials from the from the Pentagon or from Lockheed Martin say that that India considering the F-16 means that at the end of that journey, there will be the F-35 waiting for it. That's as far as they've actually gone in pitching the F-35 for India. But what has the Air Force's experience been, sir, as far as the F-35 is concerned? Have there ever been conversations where it has been, more than just placed on the table or, hung in front of the Air Force?
Yeah, okay. Shiv, between you and Angad, I think you covered everything. Yeah. And, it's a tricky question you ask because all the Air Marshals get trolled in the social media that the Air Marshals only want to play with the foreign toys. Notwithstanding that, you covered most of the aspects. And of course, it's a good aircraft and, anybody would like to have it in their inventory. But can we afford it? That is one question. Second is, you already brought out that it does not fall in our scheme of things. At the moment, we are trying to get on our feet. We are trying to be Atmanirbhar. We are trying to develop our own program. In that situation, we cannot buy. But having said that, at the moment, our need is, keeping in mind our adversaries, their attitude, their capabilities, to have minimum deterrence capability. And while doing that, support our Atmanirbharta. And minimum deterrence capability needs a balance of numbers and quality of aircraft. But F-35 at the moment, firstly, is not on the offer. Secondly, nobody will share the latest technology. Third is the cost factor. There's another fourth thing, at the moment, their production capability, their domestic needs, as well as their partners and the NATO partners, their needs, their production house at the moment is full. So I don't think they will be able to accommodate even if we want to, and not that we want to. So that is where it stands at the moment, and the way they have come in with their F-35, F-22, B-1 bombers, F-16, F-18, static display, air display, it's a clear political signaling to the world, to the other countries who are watching, that we are with India.
Very, very true. Angad, you've tracked this very, very closely. India's sort of perplexing fighter aircraft contests, the multiplicity of them over the years and decades. But, is there also an element, in the F-35 being brought to India, is there also an element over and above everything that you've said of the US sort of getting a sense that they're missing out, that, these deals have been slipping away from them? India, awarded one deal to the Rafale. There are indications that the Navy is leaning towards the Rafale as well. Who knows what's going to happen in the Air Force contest as well. So are they dangling this aircraft right now saying, look, what are you doing?
To an extent, yes. Like I said, it's definitely there's definitely a sort of an element of snide sort of look at what you could have to this. I feel. But at the same time, a superpower like the US, I don't think is going to be insecure about losing defense deals, which is why I see this more as a signal of security, cooperation, and commitment than a sort of an exercise in needling. Again.
Sure. Yeah.
At the end of the day, and especially in the world of defense and security, where emergent scenarios can force decisions, and we've seen, emergency procurement, and I've written extensively about what they mean and don't mean for Indian defense. But induction of the F-35 isn't impossible. But what it is not feasible.
Yeah.
It would require a complete overhaul of how we do business. It would require completely delinking from Russia, for one.
Correct.
And that's what makes it impossible to get past. It's not that the US wouldn't be willing to part with certain technology. There would always be some amount held back.
Yeah.
But we've seen, the F-35 is a truly multinational program.
Yeah.
And there are prime contractors involved in that program that are not of US origin. So there are entire systems on that aircraft that originate outside the US and then are supplied back to the US and to all international customers. It's a really interesting model for defense cooperation and production. It's just a model that where India is today, we can't plug into that model. It would require far too much near-term pain to be absorbed for a single product.
Absolutely. Air Marshal Khosla, final question to you, sir. Like Angad mentioned earlier as well, we have our own, the AMCA program, which seeks to build a futuristic stealth fighter of its own. Many of the proposed features would be comparable to what the F-35 already apparently has. How would you assess India's own effort and India's own program? Because at the end of the day, this is stuff that no country will share with us. We have to perforce develop them ourselves. How far along are we? How good is our program, sir?
Yeah, so, that's a very question which is asked very frequently. And, the LCA project had itches and it took time to mature. But having matured now, I think we can, and the way we have last 5 to 7 years, under various headings, we have under various verticals, we have made effort by the government to enhance our defense production, as well as in technology, as well as ease out the business rules, then encourage the MSMEs, make techno parks. A whole lot of effort under 16, 17 verticals. They're showing result. We have, the speed has picked up. So the deadlines have been announced for, LCA Mark II as well as AMCA. And I hope we meet them. But there is one thing which I want to tag here. If you see the 5th generation aircraft, which 3 or 4 countries have at the moment got, Su-30, Su-57 of Russia and US, these 2 aircraft, and China claiming J-20 to be this thing. But 6th generation work has already started, but there is a trend there. What I'm bringing out is that no country is going alone into, designing and producing these 5th or 6th generation aircraft. They are going into, 2 or 3 together. To fund this thing. So I think there maybe we will need some hand-holding and some sort of technology infusion from various countries who have already developed this, like you brought out this 5th generation aircraft. So the engine is another problem. China's industry is doing well, but they're still struggling with the engine. They are still using Russian engines. So, and we are also in a similar situation. Kaveri engine, we are having problems. and we have said that AMCA Mark II will come out with the indigenous engine, this thing. Various companies are making forays, and they are offering some sort of technology. Even
So basically, there is a long way to go. In many ways, India doesn't have a choice. But like you said, many of these projects are multi-nation projects, as indeed, as Angad said, the F-35 was. It had the United Kingdom also involved in the development process, part of the group that funded the entire F-35 program. So could India's path ahead also be a partnership with another country? Very, very interesting. As always, I learn a lot from the both of you, Angad and Marshal Khosla. Pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. Angad, enjoy the rest of Aero India as well there in Yelahanka. We'll keep a lookout for that. Listen in now to the sound that the F-35 makes. I was there yesterday when the aircraft were in the air. This is what they sound like. And while the F-35 has been ripping up the air over Yelahanka in Bengaluru, Air India has just inked the world's largest airline deal in history. After signing a deal with Airbus for 250 aircraft, a White House official has just confirmed to India today that Air India has also ordered 220 aircraft from Boeing. That's a total of 470 passenger jets in one single day. Courtesy Air India, making it the largest aircraft deal in history. This is India booming, this is India rising, this is India soaring.
There is a deep commitment in France to provide the state-of-the-art, the most efficient technologies available to India.
एयर इंडिया और एयरबस का समझौता भारत फ्रांस स्ट्रैटेजिक पार्टनरशिप के लिए भी एक महत्वपूर्ण उपलब्धि है।
It's one of the biggest aviation deals in history. The Tata Group has announced a massive order for 250 aircraft from Airbus. It includes 140 A320, 70 A321neo, 40 AN350. The mega deal was announced in a video conference with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, French President Emmanuel Macron and Ratan Tata.
2.5 बिलियन यूरो के निवेश से बन रहे इस प्रोजेक्ट में भी टाटा और एयरबस की साझेदारी है। मुझे ये जानकर भी खुशी है कि फ्रेंच कंपनी साफरान विमानों के इंजन की सर्विस के लिए भारत में सबसे बड़ी एमआरओ फैसिलिटी स्थापित कर रही है।
Is that Airbus is contributing to the outstanding development of India, and the new 250 aircrafts which will be delivered to Air India will be one more step in this direction. There is a deep commitment in France to provide the state-of-the-art, the most efficient technologies available to India, and to be part of your Made in India strategy.
Airbus says A350s fly efficiently on any sector, from short-haul to ultra-long-haul routes up to 17,000 kilometers, carrying 300 to 410 passengers in typical three-class configurations, and up to 480 passengers in a single-class layout.
And the C295 program demonstrates Airbus' commitment to supporting, dear Prime Minister, your vision of an Atma-Nirbhar Bharat. With the Tata Group,
250 aircrafts, 40 of them on the wide body A350, which we will use to fly all ultra-long distance across the globe.
The deal with Airbus, expected to be over $100 billion, is part of a huge order by Air India for 470 planes, which is also likely to include an order for 220 planes from Boeing. This could be the single largest order by any airline as Air India prepares to revamp itself under the Tata Group with a fuel-efficient fleet. Tata Group's takeover of Air India last year is one of the most high-profile privatization deals of the centre under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tata Group tabled a winning bid of rupees 18,000 crore as the enterprise value of the airline against a reserve price of rupees 12,906 crore. Bureau Report, India Today Television.
And we can confirm to you that that big Boeing deal is 190 737 Maxes, 20 787 Dreamliners and 10 777X, the latest generation of those Boeing jets. Well, that's a wrap on the show. We're going to leave you with these stunning images captured from 15,000 feet over the Aero India show by India's latest drone, the Tapas. It's a medium altitude, long endurance drone, and using its cameras, it has flexed muscle by capturing these amazing images of the flypast and the ceremonials. Enjoy these images. Thanks for watching.
After the fierce Bengal elections, the high-stakes battle for Tripura is in full swing. As elections draw near, every political party is wooing the tribal community for their support.